Welcome back to the Deep Dive. And today we're looking at something that's, well, the digital landscape right now is just really messy.
Oh, absolutely. Messy is a generous word for it, honestly.
Right. I mean, usually when we sit down to talk about web development or managing online content for you guys listening, we're looking at two really extreme ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's that classic trade-off.
Exactly. You've got the really simple drag-and-drop builders on one side, the ones that let you move fast, but they just completely break the second you want to do something custom.
The tricycle approach.
Right, the tricycle.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, you've got these massive enterprise-grade architectures where you basically need a PhD in computer science just to, deploy a simple blog post.
The F-1 fighter jet. And there is just very little middle ground out there.
Exactly. But today, we are unpacking something that seemingly refuses to pick a side. We're doing a deep dive into the Luminal CMS ecosystem.
Which is a fascinating piece of software.
It really is. I was looking through the sources you pulled for this. We've got the Mastering the Luminal CMS Ecosystem Guide, the official docs summary, and this really weird, highly specific clarification note about the oil industry.
Yeah, that clarification note is quite a read.
It is. And looking at all this, it feels different. It's not just a tool. It reads more like a technical roadmap or a very specific philosophy on how the web should actually run.
I think philosophy is the perfect word for it because it really might confuse people at first glance.
Oh, for sure.
You've got your standard content management stuff living right next door to high-level server administration, and then inexplicably, there's this entire layer of terminology borrowed straight from a Texas oil rig.
The oil rig stuff is absolutely wild, and we are definitely going to get into that because I have so many questions about why a server administrator needs to think like a landman.
It makes more sense than you'd think.
I'll hold you to that. But before we put on our hard hats, let's just clearly define our mission for this deep dive. We really need to figure out, is Luminal just another CMS in a totally saturated market? Or is this ecosystem actually offering you a better way to handle the absolute chaos of the modern web?
The best way to frame that mission is to look at the gap it's trying to bridge.
Okay, lay it out.
Most platforms today are either built strictly for the writer, just give me a text box, or they're for the engineer who wants a command line.
Right.
Luminal is betting that the modern user, the person listening right now, is a hybrid. It's for the technical creator.
The technical creator.
Yeah, someone who wants to write the blog post, absolutely, but who also needs to understand if their server is about to catch fire.
That makes total sense. So let's start right at the foundation. Segment 1, the building blocks. Who is the core user here?
Like I said, it covers the whole spectrum.
Well,
but if you look at the page manager documentation, it tells a really interesting story.
I was reading that.
Yeah.
And on the surface, it feels pretty approachable.
It does. It's a text editor. You have your toolbar, your bold and italics, a straightforward 2-column layout system. There's even an AI assist built right into the editor.
But then I noticed a specific feature called per-page CSS. And that stuck out to me. Because for people who aren't writing code every single day, why is per-page CSS such a big deal? Usually you just pick a template theme and you're stuck with it.
Right, and that's the pain point. In a traditional setup, you have a global style sheet. It dictates everything. It says all your backgrounds are white, all your fonts are Arial, whatever.
And it applies to the whole site.
Exactly. But then, say, the marketing team comes to you and they say, hey, we need a landing page for the big Halloween sale. It has to have a black background, orange text, and some spooky custom font.
And usually that request is where the fight starts between marketing and development.
Oh, 100%. Because to do that safely, the developer has to go into the global code, write a highly specific rule just for that one page's ID, and then pray they didn't accidentally break the layout on the Contact Us page.
Because of how cascading style sheets work.
Yeah.
You pull one thread and the whole sweater falls apart.
Exactly. It's fragile. So by allowing per-page CSS injection right inside the editor, Luminal is giving you a localized sandbox.
A fan box.
Yes. You can break all the design rules for that one specific Halloween page without polluting the global site code.
It contains the chaos.
It's a massive quality of life feature. Developers love it because it keeps the main code clean, and content creators love it because they don't have to wait 2 weeks for a developer to approve a background color change.
That is so smart. But the feature that really made me stop and go, whoa, okay, was this concept of content stacks.
Yes, the stacks.
The documentation makes a huge deal out of this. But when I first read it, it just sounded like blocks. Like, here's a text block, here's an image block. How is a stack actually different?
It's a great question. It's similar to a block, but think of it more like a global component, sort of like if you're coming from a React or Vue programming background, but made super simple for non-coders.
Okay, break that down for me.
So here is the problem with standard page builders. Let's say you build a call to action block. It says, sign up for our newsletter. And you drag and drop that blog onto 50 different blog posts.
Standard practice. I've done exactly that 100 times.
We all have. Now, fast forward 6 months. You decide you want to change the text to join our community.
Oh, I see where this is going.
In a basic page builder, those blocks are all independent copies. You literally have to open up all 50 pages and type the new text 50 separate times.
Which is the exact definition of tedious.
And nobody does it.
Right, you just leave the old text up, the site gets inconsistent, and it turns into this graveyard of old marketing ideas.
Exactly. But with a content stack in Luminal, you are building a reference. It's like a Lego brick.
A Lego brick.
You build the newsletter stack once, you place that reference on the 50 pages. Then when you edit the master stack, that change propagates instantly to every single instance across the whole website.
Wow. So it moves you from being like a painter where you're brushing every single pixel on every single page.
Yeah, to being an architect.
Yes, an architect arranging structural components.
Mm-hmm.
It totally streamlines the website assembly.
And the key there is that it scales. A tiny team can manage a massive enterprise-level site without drowning in repetitive maintenance.
Okay, speaking of maintenance, we have to talk about media handling.
The gallery manager?
Yeah, the gallery manager. I noticed it isn't just for photo albums. The docs explicitly mention PDF galleries and combined formats and video. And the PDF thing felt really niche to me. Why are they highlighting that?
It sounds niche, but it solves a huge corporate headache. Think about restaurant menus or annual financial reports or technical manuals.
Oh, true.
Usually a website just slaps a text link to a PDF. The user clicks it, they get kicked completely off the website, and it opens in some clunky browser tab.
Or worse, the site owner converts every page of the menu into a giant JPEG image.
Which is terrible for screen readers, terrible for SEO, and it always looks blurry on a phone. Zooming in on a JPEG menu is the worst user experience on the internet.
It really is, so Luminal fixes that.
Yeah, their native PDF gallery support means you embed the document viewing experience directly into the page. It treats the document as a primary piece of content, not just a random email attachment.
And I noticed they pair that with a font manager and a background manager under the media and file section.
Right. They are aggressively trying to keep you out of the file system.
Keep you out of the code. They want you to have total control over the visual identity swapping of background texture, uploading a custom font, without ever needing to open an FTP client.
Exactly. They are giving you the keys to the castle, but they aren't making you haul the stone to build the walls yourself.
Okay, so that covers the foundation. The building and stacking. It's robust, it's very modular, but now we have to cross over into the management side of the house.
And this is where it gets wild.
This is where it gets weird. I am talking about the Farmout Manager.
The infamous Farmout.
When I first saw this in the table of contents, I genuinely thought I downloaded the wrong PDF. I thought, am I reading a manual for agricultural logistics?
It is definitely the most distinctive part of Luminal's entire brand identity.
But then we found that clarification source. The developers actually put out a note addressing this.
They did. In an earlier audio summary or video, someone guessed the terminology wrong, so the developers explicitly set the record straight. It is a very deliberate nod to oil industry slang.
Okay, so for the listener who hasn't spent a lot of time roughnecking on a drilling rig in Texas, which is probably all of us, can you break down what a farm-out actually is in the real world?
Sure. In the oil and gas industry, a farm-out is basically an assignment agreement. Let's say you own the lease to a massive plot of land. You farm out specific regions, specific wells to other operators to drill and manage.
So it's a way of delegating a huge field of operations.
Exactly. It's distributed management.
Okay, but how does an oil field translate to web hosting?
Think of your primary server, the one actually running the Luminal software, as the mothership, the central control tower.
Yeah.
And then think of every individual website you manage for your clients as a remote well. In a normal setup, if you run 20 websites, you are logging into 20 different dashboards every morning. You're checking 20 different plugin pages. It's completely scattered.
It's exhausting.
Luminal says, no, treat this like an oil field. The Farmout Manager is your central dashboard. You sit there, you look out at the field, and you see all your remote wells pumping away.
The documentation actually connects this visual to that TV show Landman.
Right. It really paints this picture of you sitting in the cab of your truck looking at the pressure gauges across the whole valley.
It adds a lot of wit to something that is usually incredibly boring. Server administration is just rows and rows of text data.
It gamifies it. They call the servers mindless servers that need updates, and they compare the software modules to oil pads and pumps.
But underneath the cowboy hat, what is this tool actually doing? Because the metaphor is fun, but I need to know if my websites are going to crash.
Practically speaking, it is a heavy-duty server administration module. It handles updates across the whole field, it manages your domains, it handles SSL certificates.
Which is your security padlock in the browser.
Right. And if an SSL expires, your users get that terrifying "this site is unsafe" warning, which destroys your traffic instantly. The Farmout handles that automatically. It also handles backups and crucial things like cron jobs.
Okay, cron jobs. I hear developers throw that term around all the time. What actually is a cron job?
Think of it as a scheduled robot. You tell the server, every night at 3 a.m., take out the digital trash. Or every hour, check the e-commerce gateway for new orders.
So it's an automated instruction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if those cron jobs fail, the site gets clogged up. The Farmout Manager lets you monitor the heartbeat of those jobs across every single site from one screen.
So if a pump stops pumping on a client site, say the backup fails, you see a red light on your dashboard immediately.
You see it immediately. You don't have to wait for the angry client to call you on Tuesday.
And it mentions VStats analytics too, right?
Yes. So you aren't just seeing if the pump is running, you're seeing exactly how much oil or how much user traffic it is extracting every hour.
It's such a fascinating pivot. Usually the tech industry tries to hide the industrial reality of the internet. We use words like the cloud to make it sound soft and ethereal.
It's not soft at all.
No. Luminal is going the exact opposite direction. They're saying, this is heavy industry. This is extraction. Put on your work gloves.
And it's a very honest approach. Running a network of websites is maintenance heavy. The cloud is literally just a bunch of loud, hot servers sitting in a massive warehouse somewhere. Luminal forces you to respect the machinery.
Well, if the Farmout represents that old-school industrial grit, the next section of the docs propels us straight into a sci-fi future. We have to talk about the AI frontier.
This is where Luminal proves it is a genuinely modern piece of software. It goes way beyond the basic stuff we see everywhere else.
Right, because right now, every platform has a button that says, click here to let AI write a generic, boring blog post.
Which nobody actually wants to read.
Exactly. But Luminal lists specific, highly intriguing tools. For example, Notebook LM podcasts. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Notebook LM that experimental Google tool that turns text documents into audio conversations?
It is, and the fact that they are integrating that directly into a CMS implies something huge.
What does that workflow look like?
It implies you could publish a written article, and the system automatically pings the API, generates a full two-person audio podcast discussing your article, and then embeds that audio player right at the top of the page.
So the CMS is creating audio content. That is massive for accessibility and for engagement. You're basically running a newspaper and a radio station at the exact same time.
With zero extra effort on your part. And that perfectly transitions into the next feature they list, the agent scheduler.
The agent scheduler. It sounds like something from a spy movie. What does agent mean in this specific AI context?
It's a crucial distinction. A normal chatbot like ChatGPT is passive. It waits for you to type a question, and it gives you an answer. An agent has autonomy and a goal. It goes out and does a job, it plans steps, it executes them, and it reviews its own work.
Wait, so having a scheduler for these agents?
It means you can set autonomous tasks to run in the background.
So instead of me sitting at the keyboard prompting the AI,
Yeah.
I could just tell the CMS, hey, every Tuesday morning, scan the latest industry news, draft a 500-word summary, find a relevant stock image, and put it in my drafts folder.
And the agent scheduler handles all of that while you are literally asleep. That is the promise of agentic AI. It upgrades the user from being a creator to being a director.
You aren't writing anymore. You're just reviewing the work of your digital employees.
Exactly. And to help you manage those digital employees, Luminal includes something called Prompt Commons.
Which I assume is a library.
Yeah, a shared library. Because the biggest friction point with AI right now is prompt engineering. Most people don't know how to talk to the AI to get a good result.
You end up getting garbage out because you put garbage in.
Right. A commons implies a community-shared database of highly optimized prompts. So you don't have to guess. You just go in, search for SEO product description, pull that specific prompt from the commons, and apply it.
That completely democratizes the expertise. But there was one more AI acronym in there that sounded incredibly technical. MCP servers. What is that?
The Model Context Protocol. It gets a little into the weeds, but it is vital if you actually want to use AI for business.
What?
Because right now, AI is usually isolated inside a chat interface. It has no idea what is actually on your website unless you manually copy and paste it in. It doesn't know your inventory. It doesn't know your past blog posts.
So it lacks context.
Precisely. MCP is an infrastructure standard that allows the AI to securely hook directly into your actual data sources.
Oh, wow.
It connects the brain of the AI directly to the files and database of your CMS.
So the AI isn't just hallucinating answers. It's looking at your real-time analytics, your actual farm-out data.
It grounds the AI in reality. It makes the system exponentially more useful.
Okay, so we've got the oil rig to manage the server infrastructure, and we have the AI agents to autonomously generate the content.
Now we get to the why.
Yes, segment 4, business, broadcasting, and integrations. Because ultimately, we are doing all this to reach an audience and make a living.
The e-commerce module handles that, and they have some very specific integrations.
The one that really caught my eye was the Printful POD integration. POD stands for print on demand.
Right, meaning you sell physical merchandise, but a third party prints and ships it only when an order comes in.
Usually to pull that off, you need a standalone Shopify store, a separate plugin, and some API connector bridging them together. It's a whole secondary stack you have to manage.
But Luminal seems to have baked it in natively.
Which is a huge signal. It shows they view physical merchandise as a core component of a modern creator's business, not just some afterthought widget.
It dramatically lowers the barrier to entry. You upload a t-shirt designed to Luminal, it syncs with Printful, a customer buys it, the order goes to the printer, and you never even touch a cardboard box.
And the docs also mention affiliate products. So whether you are selling your own coffee mugs or linking to someone else's software, the monetization routes are built right into the dashboard.
And it extends to broadcasting, too. The system has a dedicated podcast manager and a YouTube playlist studio.
Which is aimed directly at the fragmentation problem. I've felt this pain personally. You have your podcast host over here, your website over there, and your YouTube channel somewhere else.
And you spend half your week just copying embed codes back and forth.
Trying to make the thumbnails line up. It's a nightmare.
Luminal is positioning itself as the central hub. The YouTube Playlist Studio suggests it pulls your video feed natively onto your site. That keeps the user traffic on your domain instead of bouncing them over to YouTube where they get distracted by other videos.
And the Events Manager Pro integrates directly with Facebook events, doing the exact same thing for physical meetups. It brings all the scattered pieces of your brand back home.
And if you look at the API keys and integrations section, that strategy becomes undeniable. They refer to it as the glue.
Because the CMS can't be an island anymore.
Exactly. It connects to everything. Email marketing, CRM software, payment gateways, social media. They have a centralized vault just for managing all these API keys.
But wait. With all of these wires plugging into the system APIs, autonomous agents, remote wells in the farm out, we have to talk about control and security.
Someone has to guard the oil field.
Right. How does the mothership actually secure all this?
Well, the docs highlight standard user management, user roles, session management. But there is a very specific reference to an authentication system named guard.php.
I saw that, guard.php. It sounds incredibly ominous. Like a digital bouncer standing at the door.
In a way, it is. For the non-developers listening, naming a specific file like that usually implies a distinct, hard-coded authentication layer.
So it's not just mixed in with the rest of the visual code.
Exactly. It suggests a hard gate. If you do not pass guard.php, you are not getting into the admin panel, period. It separates the security logic from the application logic.
The gate to the VIP section. And once you actually get past the guard, there's a nod in the docs to the shortcode reference.
I was so happy to see they kept shortcodes.
Really? I feel like a lot of modern builders try to hide them because they look too techy. It's just those little brackets like bracket gallery I equals 5 bracket.
They do look techy, but for a power user, they are indispensable. Typing a quick shortcode with a few specific attributes is 10 times faster than clicking through 3 menus to drag and drop a visual widget.
It's all about speed, and it's about control, which is evident in the general site settings too, managing the core identity, the logos, the theme colors, the analytics configuration, all from one spot.
Which really brings us to the synthesis of this entire ecosystem.
Yeah, let's step back. We've looked at the page builder, we've unpacked the farm and oil metaphor, we've explored the AI agents and the business broadcasting tools. When you put all of those pieces on the table, what is Luminal actually trying to be? Because just calling it a website builder feels wildly inadequate.
It does. I think the best way to describe it is an operating system for a digital business.
An operating system. I really like that.
Think about the progression. It's not just passively displaying text on a screen anymore.
Right.
With the Farmout, it is actively managing the health of the server hardware.
Right.
With the AI agents, it is actively generating value and producing content. With the e-commerce and APIs, it's processing the money. It's dynamic.
It perfectly mirrors that oil metaphor they lean into. A traditional static website is basically a billboard on the side of the highway. It just sits there.
Yes.
But the Luminal ecosystem is a rig. It has moving parts. It's pumping constantly. And it requires a landman to oversee the entire operation.
That shift from passive display to active extraction, that is exactly where the entire web is heading right now. We aren't just putting digital brochures online anymore. We are building automated machines.
And that leads me to the thought I really want to leave you, the listener, with today. We chuckled a bit at the beginning about the farm out and the landman terminology. It's funny, it's very retro.
It is.
But if we fully accept that analogy for a second, if our websites really are oil wells, extracting attention and value from the vast landscape of the internet, and if these new AI agents are the actual pumps and the machinery doing the physical drilling,
I see where you're going with this.
where does that leave us? Are we moving toward a future where human creators are just the landmen? Are we destined to just be the overseers sitting in the air-conditioned truck, checking the pressure gauges, making sure the agent scheduler is running on time? Or are we still the ones who actually decide where to drill the next well?
That is the defining question of the AI age, isn't it? As the sheer labor of extraction gets automated away, the value of the human completely shifts to strategy.
From laborer to landman.
Exactly. The landman doesn't ever touch the dirty drill bit, but he is the one who decides which field is worth leasing in the first place. Maybe that's the promotion we should all be preparing for.
It is a very strange future, but looking at this ecosystem, Luminal seems to be building the exact truck to drive us there. And that's going to do it for our deep dive into the Luminal CMS today. Check your gauges, update your cron jobs, and we will catch you on the next one.
Keep drilling, everyone.